Good afternoon. You're watching Business World Live. I'm Jes Delos Santos. Let's take a look at how the local bourse closed today, Friday. All right, local shares bucking the sell-off across Asia. The PSEi ending the week in the green, advancing close to 0.6% to 6,794.86. This after the palace bared that the first batch of COVID-19 vaccines are finally set to arrive on Sunday. The shots are part of the 600,000 Sinovac shots that China vowed to donate to the Philippines. The country also hoping to avoid vaccine shortage by offering to pay more to secure more vaccines. A number of stocks joining gains seen across the board here. Let's go to our leaders and laggards here. BPI is a day's best performer. That's up 5.8%. It's biggest jump yet since October of last year. Trading volume also twice the daily average. The lenders board has just greenlit its merger with its thrift bank unit, BPI Family Savings Bank, BPI rather, now priced at 89 pesos a share. Jollibee also advancing 3.5% here after it got an upgrade from Goldman Sachs to neutral, while Wealth Securities moved them to buy JFC now at 179 apiece. Now BDO also edging higher by 2.25% after net income came in at 28.2 billion pesos for the full year of 2020. That's lower than 2019 output, but still beats estimate of a 27.27 billion pesos, lifting sentiment for the stock. BDO now priced at 105 pesos and 50 centavos a piece. Now, BDO's earnings accounting for 55% of SM Investments earning. SM's 2020 net income came in 48% lower to 23.4 billion pesos. As you can see as well in this chart, you have SM Retail net income coming in. Just to give you a brief idea, SM Retail net income, just to recall, is at 4.1 billion pesos. It's down 67%, while SMPH as well is down by 52% to 18 billion pesos. BDO likewise, with the, like what I mentioned earlier, down by 36%. When it comes to their full year 2020 net income. Consolidated revenue for SM Investments slumped to 394.2 billion pesos from 500 to a year ago. SM Prime accounting for 33% of the net income, while retail at 12% as well. SM assets though jumped 7% to 1.2 trillion pesos. SMIC President Frederick Dibuncio says they're building momentum through the end of 2020 as they adapted to changing behaviors due to the pandemic. They say they will continue to innovate and will focus on safety as they stay cautiously optimistic for the year. SM Investments, you can see right here, one of our worst performers here. The stock is down close to 2.8%, now priced at 1,009 pesos a piece. And while we're at the SM Group, might as well go to their other lender, that is China Bank. China Bank, which bucked the downtrend across SM units when it comes to earning reports here. That's on net income inch up by 20% to 12.1 billion pesos. Net interest income also grew by 30% to 33.8 billion pesos. That's on the back of a 39% fall in interest expense. Gross loans unchanged at 572 billion pesos, while deposits were up by as much as 8 billion. Deposits rather were up to 835 billion pesos. China Bank gaining steam here. It rose over 8% to 24 pesos and 10 centavos a piece. But one stock we have to keep tabs on, Cebu Landmasters. The property player ended the day with a 14.3% gain. That's after it soared to as much as 24% earlier in the day. We have a very significant development here coming from the property player, with investors cheering on this bit of news after CLI gave the go signal for the distribution of 1.91 billion shares as dividends. Each shareholder set to get 123 shares for every 100 block of shares subject to the approval of the SEC. Cebu Landmasters now priced at 6 pesos apiece. But the besides Mindanao Builder is banking on more developments as it braces for the year ahead. To talk about their plans, we have Cebu Landmaster CEO Jose Soberano III. Good afternoon, sir.
Hi, good afternoon, Jes.
All right, just to take off from this bit of news with that stock dividend approval, which sent shares soaring for the stock, how might this development impact CLI's positioning in the Visayas and Mindanao?
We had this special stockholders meeting this morning approving the increased authorized capital stock of Cebu Landmasters up to 10 billion pesos. And as you mentioned earlier, the stock dividend for every block of 100 shares entitles to about 123 shares. So this is in line with the expansive mood that we continue to have. We prepare ourselves in terms of the capital requirements that we may be needing in the years to come. So there's a lot of leeway brought about by this move to increase our capitalization.
All right. Much of that, of course, will go to capital requirements here. But that also begs a question. What's your level of optimism here for the region, especially Cebu, considering that, the province has been flagged for an alarming spike in cases?
We survived 2020. I mean, that's the real positive thing that we feel right now. And in fact, from Cebu Landmaster's perspective, we continue to harness certain gains, reservation sales. We continued with our projects, our construction activities. So we feel very optimistic, so to speak. So what more now when we are already rolling out the vaccine, no? And this thing about the variant, I think that will be overcome. This virus, things will become even more vibrant. Yeah, we see a lot of the players and even the industry stakeholders from tourism to business having to position themselves when things will be eased up. The borders will slowly be opening up. So things from what was the worst in 2020, definitely more optimism, reality on the ground that is being felt right now.
Is there reason to believe, sir, that recovery in the region, Visayas and Mindanao in particular, will come in quicker than the rest of the country?
Well, it would depend really on which particular industry, because it's the area will have their own strength. For example, let's talk about the tourism sector, for example. We feel very strongly that Cebu will bounce back pretty strong there. We remain to be a gateway of tourism for Visayas and Mindanao. We do have the improved infrastructure of our airport. The third bridge is about to be completed. A fourth bridge is being planned out. And we are practically such an underserved industry in that sense of tourism. So I think it's basically a supply-based business. So for so long as you have the facilities, you have the hotel rooms, people will come in gradually. And knowing very well that we are still very far off from our ASEAN neighbors in terms of tourist arrivals. So there's so much upside to think about.
Good thing that you pointed that out, sir. Is this precisely what you're banking on with this development, Masters Tower Cebu, which in turn would also house Cebu's first 5-star luxury hotel, if I'm not mistaken? Why carry on the task of building this leisure facility just when the tourism sector has been badly hit?
Well, as I mentioned, we are preparing for the rebound, and we have to be honest about this. This particular project, we planned pre-COVID. No,
Okay.
but we never stopped the planning. And right now, the things have been ironed out in terms of not just of the plans but also the permits. We feel this is the right time to launch it. No,
Mhm.
uh, we know the feeling of how bad it was. So timing wise, the things are now a, a lot better. Things are going to be more open now with the vaccine and all. I think the timing is just perfect. And we have to also consider that this is one project that will have a longer gestating period. No, this will be
Mhm.
operational by 2025.
Okay.
So by then, we should be very confident about the normalcy to happen. No? So the tourism industry will really bounce back. We all know that in 2019, the average occupancy in Cebu was about 80%. And we felt very strongly that it could have continued and even improved if it were not for the COVID. So things will
Mhm.
be very much in place to position ourselves for more improvements in the tourism industry.
Okay, what's also interesting about this development is that it's also going to house office and retail spaces. How much demand are you seeing from this?
Well, we have about uh, close to 200 rooms here.
Mhm.
So we are gonna be catering, of course, to uh, the leisure and corporate travelers. And at the same time, we are looking at also even our locals to be able to enjoy the facilities on this Masters Tower, because it will also be housing uh, high-end offices. No?
Mhm.
And also they have a component which will have the two restaurants, one restaurant also positioned on the roof deck. So these are elements of Masters Tower that we feel that could attract a big segment of the affluent travelers market, no, which is basically a strong potential and has not really and we don't really have that much international brands operating here in Cebu, and this will be a real opportunity harnessing that kind of a potential.
Okay, and lastly, before we let you go, sir, give us an idea. What's your outlook here for the region, especially when it comes to the housing market? CLI, of course, remains to be at the forefront. You have a 12% share in Visayas and Mindanao. Take up is at 83%. What's the outlook here for the year?
We will continue to be very strong in the residential uh, housing market. This is where we all started. We
Mhm.
continue to grow here significantly. But instead of adding more uh, key areas or cities to operate in, we will be consolidating. So we're in 15 cities. So we feel that our expansion will be still basically on the cities. So we
Mhm.
continue to grow here, even looking at easily a 20% growth uh, for that particular business in 2021.
Mhm.
And looking at, of course, the recurring business side of our revenue, we are banking also on the hospitality sector. That in the next 4 to 5 years, this will contribute strongly 10% of our total revenue. But basically, we will be led in this mean by our strong residential product, which has served the market very well.
All right, big goals there for the year, especially when it comes to your residential unit, given that we are still in the middle of a pandemic. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Cebu Landmasters CEO Jose Soberano III. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Now, here are other headlines we're keeping our eyes on. The Philippines is considered an outperformer in frontier technologies. That's according to a report by the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, or UNCTAD. The group's 2021 Tech and Innovation Report identified developing countries that performed better in areas like AI, big data, blockchain, 5G, and robotics than their per capita GDP would suggest. The report reflects high levels of investment inflows on high-tech manufacturing, particularly electronics. The UNCTAD study also noted how multinational businesses are attracted to the Philippines' strong supply chains and its solid base on parts manufacturing. Also, a plus is the country's pro-business policies coupled with a skilled and well-educated workforce. Now, fiber optics and broadcast tower projects will be next in line for permit streamlining. The Anti-Red Tape Authority will release a supplemental circular next week on the matter. This follows efforts from other regulators and government agencies to reduce the number of permits needed to build common towers. The Red Tape Watchdog says local governments are confused as to how to harmonize previous circulars and provisions under the Bayanihan 2 on expediting the construction of cell towers. ARTA is working with the DICT to develop the new circular. And those are the biggest news this trading day, February 26, 2021. Catch Business World Live again Monday next week at 9:30 a.m. for the market open and 3:15 p.m. for the market close. I'm Jes Delos Santos. We are One News. Have a great weekend.